So it seems that it is official. E3 most likely is dead. I don't see it coming back. I mean, there is a slight chance that it come back, but the key question that I feel like everyone has low-key been asking themselves for a couple years now is E3 even necessary these days? Of how big social media is and the fact that you can post something and it won't cost you millions of dollars to put it on some kind of platform such as E3. And that's what this video is about. We're going to talk about whether or not I think E3 is even necessary these days. But you guys know how it is. If you guys enjoyed the video, definitely hit that like button. You can always subscribe to the channel for weekly content. Don't forget to go over there and follow me at Twitter at LordAddictILP. Let's talk about E3. What's going on, you guys? Gaming Guide here, coming at you with another video. Today we're going to be talking about E3. I know a lot of you have been hearing the news. There was an individual that tweeted out that the people, the ESA, I believe that's the initials of their organization, they have actually officially canceled E3. For those of you that's been living under a rock and you don't know what E3 is, I hope to God that you guys will know what E3 is. E3 is pretty much the American Gamescom, the American Tokyo Game Show, where the majority of the people come together at E3 to see future products. They come together to, interact with social media influencers, publishers, talk to a variety of different things. There's a lot of different things that E3 itself is used for. But it looks like the pandemic may have actually put the final nail in the coffin. Now, we do see that a lot of people have officially been pulling out of E3. Nintendo pulled out of the conference kind of sensation where they have an official conference during the E3 time frame. They usually have a direct probably a couple days after its competition has, but for the most part, Nintendo's not really part of the E3 like press conference scenario. Now, normally they are on the floor. They're there on the floor for any of the people that actually flew there. They're there for influencers, people in the media. They're there for the past couple years they've been letting the actual public in E3, and we'll get to that here in a moment, but they're there for them people. But as far as like the press conferences, they're not. Sony is kind of pulled out altogether. Now, they weren't there last year in any way, shape, or form. I didn't even see them on the floor. Now, I might be mistaken on that, but I don't think they were going to be on the floor. They pulled out of the press conferences as well. They're not really there in that kind of compassion. And so it's interesting to see so many people pulling out of E3. You saw EA. They did their own thing called EA Play. Now, what's interesting is that companies want to be part of E3. They just don't want to pay for E3. You see of EA doing EA Play around the time frame that E3 is going down, and you see that Nintendo doing their press conference, which is the Nintendo Direct, around that time that E3 has gone down. So I don't necessarily think that people don't want to be part of E3. They just don't want to pay that money that the ESA require you to participate. So the question is what do you think happened? Now, I do think it's like I said earlier, social media and pretty much the internet presence in general has made E3 less effective than it used to be. You used to have to wait for magazines to get your gaming news. Now you can literally scroll through Twitter and find out information. Information is on YouTube channels a lot of the time before it's on like IGN and Game Informer. So that is part of the reason that's made it the way it is. I think that when you look at what's happened the past couple years, one of the biggest things I can honestly say has attributed to E3 becoming what it is and going downhill as much as it is the ESA seemed like they were bigger than the industry. They were bigger than Microsoft. They were bigger than PlayStation. They were bigger than Nintendo. It felt like if you didn't agree to what they were doing and you didn't do exactly what they wanted you to do, they didn't really feel like they were going to compromise too much. I know a lot of media and some gaming publishers didn't like how many people was being allowed into when it comes to the public. Now, let's talk about that real quick. Past couple years, they've been letting the public into E3, and a lot of people say that's when it's really started down spiraling, and I will agree to a point, because it was an industry event where it was mainly about the people covering the products, the people making the products, and the people publishing the products. But when you brought in the actual fans into this service, I think it went to a different area. Now, I'm not saying this area shouldn't have existed. It should have existed, but I think the ESA should have did more to have a better middle ground. ground. They should have had a day exclusive to the media, to, you know, influencers, where you can actually get to your appointments, get everything you need done for the most part in that one day, and the rest of the days you know, try to get to the rest of your appointments in this mass amount of people that's at this event, because they let so many people in it. Now, I think the tickets were like $200. Now, clearly this was done because of financial reasons. You have people like PlayStation no longer participating. That's a huge amount of money that's gone, just vanished. When you don't have some of these publishers giving them money for this floor space, they need to make that up somehow. So what they did is they allowed a certain amount of tickets to be bought from the public to get them into the actual conference, into the E3 exhibit floor. And I think that's one of the issues that they had, that a lot of people had. I myself have no issue with it. I do think, like I said, they should have been a day of exclusivity with the influencers, a day of exclusivity with the media people. And it's just like, I don't feel like they care. They cared more about the money that they were going to get, and not necessarily about the industry and what was better for it. You know, if you can't have these influencers are being late to get to their actual press conferences and their meetings, etc., and you have these publishers that are having a hard time reaching out to these people because there's so many people at this event, it's going to start issues. But if you had a day where the floors were pretty much just industry, just people in the industry, I think it would have been a lot better, and I think you would have got a lot of the work done in that one day, maybe even having 2 days. I know that would extend E3 and ESA would have to pay more money, but to me, if you can get that done, maybe you can actually get more people in there, kind of like how PAX does. PAX has it to where you can buy individual days or you can buy the whole week. So they could have went that direction. Now, as far as whether or not E3 is necessary in 2022, I think it's kind of a toss-up. It's kind of a middle ground. On one side, I feel like it's not necessary because you could have a press conference on the internet through your YouTube channels and your Twitch channels and get maybe not as huge of an impact because you're not having those physical people there that are talking behind closed doors, but you're having a huge digital presence. And I think that a lot of people really just focus on that digital presence more than anything else. Like, look, is it important with the press conferences and the floor coverage that people like IGN do? Yes, but I do think on the other hand, people don't consider the industry deals and the industry coverage that's going on at this event. Now, look, sure, is companies like EA, Activision, Microsoft, Ubisoft, do they fly people out to them individually to have certain coverage happen where you see influencers going and playing the next Call of Duty? Yes, you see that all the time, but I think when it comes to E3, all of the industry knew for a fact that the majority of the people they wanted to work with were in this place. And I think that really helped out get stuff done, progress stuff quicker. I think that is the part that's necessary in the industry. I don't think that, you know, the stuff that you see on Twitter, the stuff that you see on YouTube is the necessary stuff. What is going on behind closed doors is, I feel like, the part that will be missed. Now, as far as E3 as a whole, no, you can easily replace that with anything else, and I do think it's going to be replaced with something else. Jeff is definitely going to do something. He has the summer game show thing going on, the video game awards. He has been waiting for this moment to shine. Now, regardless how he effectively captures no E3 this year is entirely up to him, and I hope he does good, because regardless what happens and if anything spawns to replace E3, which I think the summer game show most likely is going to do it, I want it to be done better than E3 was. E3 was a fantastic experience that I have experienced multiple times, and as much as I love it, there was clearly places it could have improved, and the reasons that it could have improved eventually led to its downfall. But you know, that's my opinion on the E3 thing. I know that a lot of people love E3, including myself. I just like it's a celebration thing more than anything. It's where you go, you know, you're getting hyped. You hype up all the way to the last couple months now. There's always going to be something in that June area, and I think most people consider that E3 and not an organization named the ESA make E3. I think we consider just the information E3. And I'll probably call whatever this thing is in June E3 anyway, because my whole life I've been growing up looking forward to E3, and I'm a little a little sad that it's gone. But, you know, tell me what you guys think in the comment section below. Do you think E3 is anything relevant? Do you think that we need E3? It's like I said, I don't think we need it in terms of a social media aspect with engagement and numbers, but I do think we need it in terms of what goes on behind closed doors, influencers talking to publishers and developers, and just engagement overall in the industry. I think we need that, but we don't need the social aspect. We don't need the fans interacting with the industry. We need mainly for the people covering the industry and the people in the industry being able to interact with each other, with the publishers, etc., etc. But that's my opinion on the matter. Definitely put in the comment section below what you guys think. I'm curious to read some of your responses. And until next time, this is Gaming Addict. I'm out of here. Peace.